Since the age of 13, I tried building multiple businesses, and I finally was able to have a successful one when I turned 19 years old. And in this video, I'll be going through every single business that I tried building and ultimately what led me to find the business that actually worked and brought me hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. So if you're new to the channel, guys, consider subscribing. My name is Shri, and I create content on all things entrepreneurship. Without further ado, let's get right into the video. So you may have clicked on this video because you yourself might be struggling on a business idea. Maybe you're trying to figure out which business works for you, and you're trying to get some inspiration as to which business that I started that actually started making a lot of money. Because I'm about to break down every business I started from the age of 13, what went wrong, what I learned from it, and ultimately how I was able to find the right business for me. And from this, you can even take away how you can find the right business for yourself and what you have to do in order to get there. So let's go back in time and go back to Shri when I was 13 years old. So for the longest time, I was obsessed with YouTube. I wanted to create YouTube videos. I didn't even have a phone, so I was recording on this crappy iPod Touch that I had, and the videos were honestly so bad. I think I still have some of them, which you guys can check out right here, but you can basically tell why they're really bad. So the first business I started was YouTube, and it's funny because now I'm creating YouTube videos again. So I wouldn't necessarily say I failed in the business. I think it's just been a very, very long project that's been going on for over 9 years on and off. But the reason I wanted to do YouTube is because I found something fascinating about content. And I'll get back to this later because ultimately down the road, content is a huge part of what I do today. So from 13 to 14, I was just obsessed with creating YouTube videos. I even had a channel called NBA Tapes, which slightly took off, and I was getting hundreds of thousands of views on a basketball channel. But unfortunately, because of copyright, YouTube took down the videos, and I kind of stopped doing it because I wasn't making money from it. From 14 to 15, I took a break. I just got back to the States from India, where I'd moved for a year. And when I got back to the States, I was just trying to focus on high school, trying to make new friends, and everything was new again, so I just took a year off of entrepreneurship. From 16 to 17, I tried my hand at dropshipping. And this started with me building out an e-commerce site with one of my friends at school called Aviva, where we sold bracelets to other people with dropshipping. I never told anyone, but all the bracelets were from AliExpress. I'm sure they would have guessed because they were pretty cheap quality. I ended up selling like 50 to 100 bracelets to various people, and it wasn't technically dropshipping because I never set up a Shopify store. All I did was sell products in person. So I would post on my story and say, hey, I'm selling these bracelets for $10 each. So many people would buy them, and I would order them straight to my house for like $2 and then go out and deliver them to people. I made about $200 to $300 from this, nothing crazy, but I quickly realized that at scale, this was just gonna be impossible to do. I also got caught up in SATs, and so I put a halt on that business as well. And right after the SATs, I decided I wanted to go more into dropshipping, so I tried building out multiple stores. I had about 5 to 6 different dropshipping stores that I tried, and nothing worked. I had a little bit of money saved up from the bracelets, which I used to purchase multiple Shopify memberships. Eventually, I was able to sell like 5 different products, but that was about it. And finally, I realized that I just couldn't do dropshipping. I was watching all these YouTubers that were making millions. It made no sense to me. I thought I just wasn't good enough, so I decided to quit, and I never opened dropshipping up again. By this time, I was fed up. I tried multiple things. I hated everything, and so I decided to just go all in on school. But at this time, I also realized that entrepreneurship could help me with getting into college. And so in the 11th grade, I decided to build out my own chess academy. I had been fairly good at chess since I was a little kid, nothing crazy. My rating was about 1300 at the time. And so I decided that I was going to go out and reach out to little kids and see if they'd be interested in joining my chess academy. The way I did this was telling my mom to go reach out to her friends, and her friends who had young children would tell them that they could come to my chess academy. And so in this way, I was able to get about 20 to 30 students who all paid me around $10 to $20 each for an hour. And I ended up making a little over $1,000 a month from my chess academy. I donated half the money to charity, and then I kept half of it. So although it wasn't a full entrepreneurial endeavor, I was able to do some good for the community through it. And eventually it led me to getting into UC Berkeley, which was a blessing in disguise. Now, when I got into college, I realized that I just didn't have time for the chess academy. It was hard to do it online. And so I let my brother take over. And when I was in college, because I'd gotten into Berkeley, I was kind of warped into the thinking that I should just go out and pursue a computer science degree because that's what everyone else was doing. Berkeley was known to have a great CS program. And so for the first semester of freshman year, I tried my hand at CS and ultimately failed. I was so bad at it. I tried to study, I just couldn't study. I wouldn't say that I didn't get it. It was just so boring that I couldn't stand it. And so I would try to finesse my way. It just didn't work. I got bad grades. Things were looking like they were going downhill. But luckily and unluckily, COVID had hit and I was back home for college. When I got back home from college, I realized that now I could just take classes online and I didn't have to take the hardest classes because I just didn't want to do CS anymore. And so I switched to doing cognitive science and I took courses that were pretty easy. I was able to stack up because online school was a little bit easier. I didn't have to attend classes. And ultimately, I was able to just push through and graduate early. But before I graduated, I knew that I had to do something because once I graduated, I had no plan on what I wanted to do after school. So during my freshman year at Berkeley, when I was still in person right before I went online, I realized that I just wanted to create content again for some reason. One of my dorm mates had blown up with TikTok, which was a fairly new app, and she got over 1,300 followers, which was really crazy at the time to us. And so I decided that I was going to start creating content on TikTok because I'd always enjoyed creating content and YouTube just never worked for me. So I tried my hand and spent over 2 months just creating content, and 1 month was in person, 1 month when I was back at home. And the month back at home, the second month, I eventually got to 100 followers and then 1,000 followers and then 10,000 followers. And it was just growing so rapidly that I realized that there was a huge business opportunity with social media. And no one at the time believed it because TikTok was just a dancing app, but I quickly realized that there was a lot of power in this app because I was able to get millions of people watching my videos, and 1 million people watching something is pretty crazy. That's when I decided I was just gonna go all in on TikTok. I graduated early, got done with school, and then just created a bunch of TikTok content for about 2 years. And for those 2 years, the first year I built up a huge following, and the second year I monetized that following and was able to make about $5,000 to $10,000 a month just from TikTok, which I ended up paying back to Berkeley to pay off my loan. But by that time, I realized that I wanted to do content creation full time, but I had to figure out a way to really make a good amount of money and sustain my career. TikTok was paying well because I was using affiliate programs, but quickly those got shut down. And I went from making $7,000 a month to like $1,000 a month. And it just was so bad because I was spending so much time on it. So I didn't want to shut down my accounts. I still kept them. And I had about 6 to 7 different accounts with my brother by that time. And we realized that there was some sort of opportunity here that we weren't seeing, which eventually became our first very successful business. And that, my friends, is SMMA. Now, you may have heard Iman Gadzhi and a lot of these other YouTubers talk about SMMA, and what it stands for is Social Media Marketing Agency. And what we did was we told businesses that we would help them with their TikTok in exchange for money. And it worked really well because by this time, my brother and I had built multiple accounts. We'd been studying social media for years now, and we knew exactly what it took to help businesses grow their social media platforms. So initially we worked for free, helped a few companies out, got a few referrals, and then we started charging companies for it. We got really good at automating our cold email system. We started getting really good at sales. We started working on our own skills. And by that time, we had stacked so many skills that now it became very easy to close business owners over the phone, telling them that we would help them with TikTok. And from SMMA alone, we have been able to generate over 15 to 20K per month in profit with our agency. Now, granted, this has been pretty recent, but that being said, it's crazy how you can transform your life in literally 6 months of just sitting down and hustling. So finally, that's where my brother and I are today. We've been able to scale our SMMA. We're continuing to scale it right now. It's still only been about 7 months or so, but we hope to build it out a lot bigger. And then I realized that there's this whole opportunity on YouTube that I just haven't tapped yet. And it brought me back to my 7th grade roots when I was trying to crack the algorithm. I realized that I didn't have anything good to talk about back then. I also didn't have a good setup or a camera, but now I have the resources to invest in all of those. So I decided, why not? And now I'm trying to build out my YouTube and Twitter presences, which hopefully become the next business that I'm able to scale. So that being said, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I know it was super long and went into my entire story, but if this was inspirational to you, or if you found any takeaways that you can apply in your own life, be sure to comment them down below. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Take care and all the best.